Well, it's a great place the majority of the drivers call home. BRL Silverstone, Tier 1, Round 5 of Season 6 is about to kick off. Welcome along, folks. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and let's kick things underway here for tonight's event. We've got short qualifying and 26 laps aboard us. In the meantime, let's tell you about last week's events in Brazil and Baku. Baku struck with some controversy on the last lap when DHL and Egg went racing side by side to the start-finish line, contact, and then into the wall Egg went. His car crossed the line, and he was reinstated to second place, which later became the victory on 3 wheels after DHL was penalized for his late move. In Brazil, we also had Tsubi take the race victory for AlphaTauri. He had been on podium once previously during the season, so he was waiting for that first victory of Season 6. He will have to serve a 3-second time penalty for tonight's event after actions in last week's event at Baku. He's the only driver to serve a penalty for tonight's event that I'm aware of, but in the meantime, let's tell you about Tier 3 yesterday. Our winner is our host for tonight's event, and helping out with the invites, Billy. Billy has had quite the history here in BRL, founding the league technically, and now through a 6th season, this time in Tier 3, taking victory yesterday at home, Silverstone. And now, we've got a second race of the 3 races this weekend in Tier 1 now, ending off the weekend to find out who will take victory. 17 drivers right now in our lobby tonight to have the event continue. No formation lap, I believe. Let me just double check that because I want to make sure if we want to go over standings now or later. Let's see. Rules and flags. Formation lap is off, so we will go over the standings in just a moment, folks. Drivers like Egg, Ethan, and others join us last moment to get some seats. We will have 19 after that is settled. But there are 4 of you watching in the Twitch chat. Let us know what you think for tonight's event. Give us some predictions. But in the meantime, let's go over our championship standings here for Tier 1, drivers and constructors, and the combined constructors, which came out about 20 minutes ago. So, it's tied in the championship lead. Nico has the championship lead over Tsubi right now. Vapor is 5 points back. Egg is 6 points back. JJ is 12 points back. And DHL 13 points back. That rounds out the top 6. And in the meantime, in that top 6, that's 13 points there separating those guys. So that's about what? 2 or 3 a position? It's quite insane to say the least. And with that being said, really 7 different drivers can take the championship lead exiting this race. We've got 7 drivers within 20 points. And as for our Constructors' Championship, McLaren, similar to every other tier, they seem to have the best lineup. They have ran away with it. They have 4 podiums so far this season compared to AlphaTauri's 2, and every other team that's got on the podium has only 1. So McLaren have really found their strides here with Nico and Vapor, and they've really worked it out to where Nico and Vapor are 1st and 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. They lead the Constructors' Championship as a team, 1st for McLaren at 99 points. 2nd place is a big race. 3 points separate Alfa Romeo, Mercedes, AlphaTauri. Then 5th place is Williams running at the top 5. We got Egg and Rapid Owen, who can definitely shine tonight. Egg did shine last week, taking victory. Rapid Owen waiting for a breakout from him. It can still happen. As for Aston Martin, the big disappointment so far this season, they're one of 2 teams not to be on the podium in the first 4 races. They are sitting plumb last in the Constructors' Championship with only a singular point. That came with DSM Yonder, who is waiting to get into a seat, it looks like, for tonight's event. Not only is he waiting to get into a seat, but he obviously was 1 place ahead of his teammate Lojovic last week in the event. And that was what made the difference for getting their first points of the season, Aston Martin. Red Bull, the only other team not to have a podium as well. And let's go over our combined before we get going here in Silverstone here. 16 now in our event. Okay. McLaren lead the combined constructors over Mercedes by quite the hefty gap, 160 points. Williams are 3rd, Alfa Romeo are 4th, not too far back from 2nd place runners. And we also have as well Ferrari and Alpine, 9th and 10th in the Constructors' Championship. 1 point separate them. They're battling not to finish last. And now, I think these guys are voting to do full qualifying because we may have it. Interesting. Well, that's a change. They voted for full qualifying over short. Interesting. We'll find out what happens for full qualifying in comparison to short qualifying, how the drivers will tackle it. If this was a few games ago back on F1 2019 or 2020, you would have the tire choice in Q2 being different for the drivers, and you'd have to consider that. Now you don't really have to consider much of that. However, rain becomes a factor a lot in Silverstone. It loves to rain here in real life, it loves to rain here in the game, and it can happen tonight. 20 seconds until the drivers get things sorted. You got to get your tires sorted for qualifying. Which one do you want to go? Do you want to go softer? Do you want to go harder? This track is quite familiar with the drivers. A lot of them like it. A lot of them are very close to it, and a lot of them go here each year, so it's going to be fun to see what happens for Q1 then. And give us your predictions in chat while you're at it, folks. I see Mahinovic is in here, rooting for Egg. That should be tons of fun to see how that goes. And no rain for Q1. No rain for Q1, and currently with the drivers in the lobby, only one will be eliminated. I don't know who left because of full qualifying, but they're saying some people did leave because of full qualifying. We did have 19.
One of the longest broadcasted races was also one of the shortest. The 2021 Belgian Grand Prix lasted only 3 minutes and 27 seconds, the race being flagged due to wet weather conditions on lap 3.
So in the meantime, when we do get drivers going out on track on qualifying laps, we'll go over those guys going through laps, and we'll tell you a lot about the circuit. A lot of famous corners around the circuit. You have Maggots and Beckett's. A lot of famous sections too. Hangar Straight, Hamilton Straight, Wellington Straight, Brooklyn, Luffield, Woodcote, Cops, Chapel, Stowe, Vale, Club, Abbey Corner, Village. Lots of good things surrounding Silverstone. And it's most of the drivers' home race. First driver out on track is Ben94. And he's in the Haas for tonight's event. You have two drivers as well on inners. Going to go out probably and test their setup before they get a proper lap done in Q1. The drivers voted full, so there's your difference between full qualifying and short qualifying. We will have full qualifying for the event. And now we're up to 17 drivers on the list of runners. I think it was Snowy just joining in a little bit late. I know everyone else calls him Sinquees, but that's just not the way I go, Snowy. You know, I will say, my first time commentating here, BRL Tier 1. Let me tell you a little bit about myself before we get going into laps for Q1. Commentated here once before, last week. I've raced here before, back in Season 1 and Season 2, I believe, or just maybe Season 2. It was a while ago, Imola in Singapore. I wish I beat FR that day in Singapore. And I was head steward during Season 5 last season, so lots has changed since then. As for my commentary, I've commentated multiple different leagues here. ARL, URS, GSR, RPL, you name it. We're on to a lap at Silverstone. Ben 94 crosses the line, and he'll go through turn 1. Abby now hugging those curbs up to 8th gear. Now going to shift down here at the 50-meter braking board. And you don't want to be on that red curbing right there. That will definitely catch you out. A little bit of a slide there. And now you want to arc the corner here for turn 4. Traffic to the left side of him. He'll ignore that. Now don't go too far left there because you can invalidate your lap time. And you will go up to 8th gear before you end sector 1 here. 27.6 from Ben. Now a little bit wide to try to arc the corner here at Brooklands. Now 3rd gear, up the gears he'll go. You can usually get a good exit around this corner if you time it perfect. Multiple different lines you can use while battling and while racing around that corner. Now down the old start finish straight and into Cops Corner. Lots of memorable moments in this section. Usually flat out or just about flat out from the drivers. Now Maggots and Beckett's. We'll see the drivers shift down 1 or 2 gears here. 7th probably, yup. Maybe down to 6th, definitely down to 6th, and down to 5th quickly, and up back to 6th. DRS applied, and Sector 2 has him at a 3-4. Now, ERS drained below halfway, 205, 206, 207, nearly 208. Now here he goes into Stowe, right before the pit lane, and he's going to go up the gears once again, and then heavy braking here at the 50-meter board. Hugging those inside curbs. You don't want to tap the red part, but you definitely want to be on those curbs using them. Traction can be tricky there for the final 2 corners, but across the line, our benchmark for Q1 is a 27.2. Now others will cross the line to either start laps or finish laps. We're gonna go on board with VaporJS, but now we're not because he invalidated the lap time. He invalidated through Abby. Let's tell you about some corners that can be tricky for drivers to go through and not invalidate. Abbey corner's tough. Right here on the exit's tough. The left and right side trying to give room can be tough. Start of sector 2. Cops corner. Maggots and Beckett's. And Stowe probably for sector 3. Some tricky places for invalidations, folks, for tonight's event that you got to be looking out for. And we're going to go on board with Snowy now, the Mercedes driver, because he invalidated. But I want to see here through turn 3 and 4 the arc that you can do. Look at how he ends up putting that car from the right side all the way to the left side. We will be seeing drivers doing switchbacks at some point to the event, or ending up doing that for better grip, better traction, whatever it may be out of the corners. That's something we will heavily pay attention for during tonight's event. Samuel Drake Lee is on inners, so we're going to go on board with Rapid Owen. This will be the next of our competitive laps throughout Q1. What do I think for tomorrow's event? Well, I'll tell you right now, considering Tier 2 last week was quite close, and it was quite close racing, usually you might get a few DRS trains throughout the field around Silverstone, but I say the field should be close intact, and if it's not, I'll be heavily surprised. But the home favorites end up prevailing here a lot more than the other drivers because they've either been to the circuit or they're too used to the circuit because it's home for them. So they'll probably be the ones to prevail compared to our drivers who may be from the Netherlands, for example, maybe the US, maybe Italy, maybe other places, whatever it is. And the ones in the UK, like I said, do usually prevail around here. And not only do they usually prevail, but also the racing around here is very, very tight between drivers. You rarely will be able to pull DRS unless you're on a tire advantage. If you're not on a tire advantage, I guarantee you're not pulling DRS. So that's something we'll have to watch out for tomorrow's event in Tier 2. That'll be the one to end off the weekend. Danny gets a lap in on the inners, so will others on those inners, but Rapid Owen is coming through the sector split, and now he'll pick up some slipstream from teammate Egg, who's being very kind to him, and that increases his speed up to 210 right there. We saw Ben do a... Oh, he's crashed. He's going to be out of Q1. He's crashed, and now... Wow. Holy cow. Well, I was just going to say, that was 2 miles per hour faster than Ben through that section there on the straight. And now, Yonder's leaving the session. That's our second driver to have an issue. Let's find out what's happening here. Wow. So, Rapid Owen fastest, Marcel as well right behind, and Ben would be third right now in our session, but the fact is, he ended up crashing out, so he will make Q2 currently on the times, but you see he's 15th. that gap could be between 14th to 16th, or it could be through 15th and 16th here, racing into Q2. It's very good to note that, because the drivers, if they want to get through, instead of battling with 14th and 16th, they need to beat Ben's time. And if they do beat Ben's time now, that will drop him down outside the top 15. Well, Yonder's joined back. Knights has gone fastest. He's got a 25.5. And now we're watching the Alpine driver here trying to pick up some slipstream. He's got a Mercedes in the way. And now this is going to likely result in some sort of penalty in interference with the steward's office. That Mercedes right there getting in the way, that was DHL. Egg goes fastest 25.4, so the times keep improving during Q1. But down the old start-finish straight, we're going to watch margin here and see what he can do. Now Maggots and Beckett's 7th gear, 6th, 5th for a little bit longer than I anticipated, comparison to what we've seen from others thus far. 7th gear, low on the fuel, only fueled himself for 1 lap here. And you can get through in Q1 with 1 lap. We're already going to see Egg and Knights probably do it. I would probably add Rapid, Owen, and Marcel to the list based on the time buffer they have on Ben. But here comes the Alpine driver out of the final 2 corners. It can get tricky on traction, so you gotta nail it. Across the line he comes. He's only a few thousandths faster than his teammate Marcel. We've got on mediums, Vapor JS back out on track. And this time he's dumping the battery below 3/4 of the way. Now on F124, for those of you who have done the beta, it may end up being widely spread that ERS is a lot more easier to manage, and there are more modes, but it's not like F1 2019. If you've heard that, that is probably correct, because I've heard it from multiple people throughout them testing the F1 24 beta. And we'll see how drivers do manage their battery come next game. That will be Season 7 of BRL in the meantime, but we'll see how they do manage it. In terms of this game, it will be much more interesting. So crossing the line now is Vapor JS, and on those medium tires, he'll set himself 4th. He should be safe and into Q2 currently. We've got a few other drivers currently out on track, but none for competitive laps. JJ will be the next one, I believe, with Winnie for the, or Twitey for the competitive laps, excuse me. So with the ERS, what I mean by that is it will be a lot more easier to conserve the battery on the F1 24 game from what I've been hearing. So in one of the leagues I'm admin in, different from this one, they've made me aware that with the battery, it's a lot more easier to conserve it and charge it up. So instead, the battery will be probably more effective than the DRS on next game. And with that being said, something that you also should note too is there are more modes to play with. If you remember F1 2020, it will be a little bit similar to that in terms of the different modes that you will get to play with in terms of your ERS. Not like 2019 where you have 5 modes there, but it will be like 2020 where there is 3 or 4 modes that you do get to play with. And that was the Alpine almost getting in the way of Twitey on his lap, the Aston Martin driver. Aston Martin are looking for a good recovery this season, only having scored 1 point thus far. And no problem. I will continue to update you guys on any sort of changes. The 4 tracks that have been put in as beta tracks on F1 24 so far for people to test out is Brazil, Texas, Silverstone, and I believe there was one more. I don't remember which one the other one was, but I'll keep you guys updated here for F1 24 on some things that I've been told throughout other league racers who have the F1 24 beta. 7th gear, 6th gear, no 5th gear this time for anybody coming at the end of Maggots and Beckett's. And now 2.9 through the 2nd sector. This lap, if he can complete it valid, he should get himself safe into Q2. Getting yourself into Q2 won't be a tough task here, folks, for the drivers, but you want to get yourself safe like Egg and Knights have to retire from the session. Twitey a little bit tricky there at the first part of the chicane, and at the second part it was a little bit better, but in the meantime he'll cross the line to go 7th fastest. He's ahead of Ben's retired car, so this should get him safe for now. F1 Union is on a test lap here, and he's invalidated. F1 Union, by the way, he is one of 4 drivers so far this season who have scored points in the 4 BRL races. Bahrain, Texas, Brazil, and there was one other one, I believe. I don't remember the other one. There was one more. There was 4 tracks that they had people testing betas at, and this was an open beta until, I believe, Tuesday. Yeah, a lot of people were saying the beta was not so great, but if you tested certain setups and got setups working the perfect way, it was a massive, massive difference. So, interesting that setups may have a bigger play in terms of next game. JJ is going to cross the line now. He's had 1 podium so far this season, but he will split the 2 drivers who've retired at the top of the table, and this may show that track evolution will start to kick in. 28 thousandths off of our guy who's leading it all, Egg, right now. Twitey, the only other driver on track, out of fuel on a cooldown lap. Yeah, let's talk about F124 for a little bit more. I mean, the handling is definitely different. It's not as sensitive steering-wise as F123 is, but I've heard from multiple different league racers, once you get used to it, it's a lot better. I know these guys were saying the beta was not so great, but I don't know myself. I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard people say it was bad, but I've also heard people say once you get used to it, it is better or good. So, yeah, it shall be interesting to see on what happens. I'm sure there'll be some changes, of course, once the game does actually come out. And nearly a collision there between Nico and the Aston Martin of Yonder. That was quite close in the hangar straight here. Or sorry, the Wellington straight, excuse me. I'm going to get that mixed up all night. I'm going to tell you that right now. Well, just a reminder, folks, there's 10 of you watching. If you're not following the BRL Twitch right now, I recommend you do so. We've got more racing to continue this weekend as well if you're wanting to tune into the action once again. Tier 2 will be in Britain tomorrow. And if you want to continue to tune into action for Tier 1 next week as well, with the drivers you see, we are in Spain for next week. So we'll find out what happens there. In the meantime, 2 minutes remain in Q1. And right now, we have 2 drivers in the bottom 3, or bottom 2, excuse me, who have not done laps. But this is going to be crucial for them to get in valid lap times, excuse me, because right now you have Snowy, DHL, Samuel, Danny, who are all in inners. And remember, if other guys beat them, they need to beat Ben's lap time in order to knock him into the bottom 2. Therefore, only 1 driver can get eliminated on pace. We have 90 seconds about to remain, and we're going to watch Nico, who is currently our championship leader, in trouble and facing elimination. So this needs to be a valid lap from Nico. Turn 3 here. Looks okay. Now going to arc it for what is turn 4. Now as he comes out of Amtree, going to go down the Wellington straight into Brooklands. DRS applied. 7th gear, 8th gear, already below 3/4 of the way on the tank, or sorry, already below 1/4 of 4 on the tank. Complete sector 1 just well. Now through left field and gonna exit Woodco and down the old start finish straight and the old pit lane right there to your right. He's gonna try to maximize time here, going 7th gear and maybe 8th for a second and down into Cops. You might shift down to 7th here if you take it full throttle, but he takes it full throttle in 8th gear, and now to Maggots and Beckett's below halfway on the battery. This is gonna be the trickiest place for the driver to not validate, and he has to keep it valid, and he has to get a good lap in here to get into Q2. 2.6 here from our championship leader. Further on in the background, we've got the Ferrari, we've got the Aston, we've got the Mercedes as well. All those guys on laps and trying to make it back to the checker flag in time. Twitey should make it back to the checker flag just in time. But this is going to be it here, folks, for the end of Q1 to get in a lap. Here comes Nico bottom of the chart right now. Where is he going to put himself? Up to 4th in the chart. Next across the line is a Ferrari. That is Samuel. Samuel improved to 5th place. Very good effort there. Yonder improved to 11th. DHL improved to 4th. So now in the elimination zone is going to be Union, who's on a lap as well. That was Snowy crossing the line and the checkered flag. He goes 4th. So now the guy in the bubble right now is going to be Danny. And this is important to mention. Danny, who's on a lap, if he beats Ben's lap, it will be between Union and Ben. Because right now, although Ben crashed out earlier on setting a lap time, he currently is into Q2 based on the lap times, but he will not be able to compete because he crashed his car. Navs is done, obviously. He's eliminated. Vapor went to 4th. That was a nice improvement there. And now we're looking for Danny to improve. Currently safe, but needs to hope he cannot invalidate and improve. And he does improve. He goes 7th. So now it's between Ben and Union. And Yonder will get himself safe, of course. But Union just needs a halfway decent lap here to beat Ben. And right now, it looks like he's going to do it. Union crossing the line. He will be into Q2. 8th place from him. No one else now needs to improve. So out of qualifying is Ben and Navs. The 2 Ferrari engine-powered cars. Across the line as well was the Alpine of Marcel going 7th. DHL currently on a cooldown lap. Nico on a cooldown lap. Samuel on a cooldown lap. And Yonder as well. The same can be said for him. He looks like he's just trundling back to the pit lane. 1.2 the gap between 1st to 15th to get into Q2. And we're going to have quite the session now, considering it was 2 eliminated, and next round we're eliminating 5. Three tenths separating that top 8 right there. Quite a close field, and then you got Union, Nico, Samuel, Rapid, all those guys further on back. Not as close to the top of the board, but I'm sure we're going to see drivers continue to improve throughout the rest of qualifying into Q2 and into Q3.
F1 engines during the V8 era in the mid-2000s, for example, could reach 19,000 RPM. In comparison, a typical road car won't exceed around 6,000 RPM.
So relegated from Q1 was Ben, who crashed. If he had got into the top 15, that would have been very shocking. But Navs did not get a lap in either. So the ones eliminated were the ones who ended up not getting a lap in or gotten a lap but crashed. At the top of the table, it's Egg, JJ, and Nice, the top 3 in Q1. Got 5 different teams in the top 5. Vapor and Snowy round out our top 5. DHL, Marcel, Danny, Union, Nico are our top 10. And this is the rest of the field into Q2. Ben, Navs, eliminated. They're out. Both Aston's in, both Williams in, both McLaren's in, both Mercedes, both Alpines. Some of those teams, with how they're doing in the constructors table and the combined table, they definitely needed to get into Q2, but the points get scored in the top 10, not the top 15. So give us your predictions, folks. Who are going to be our 5 that we're going to get eliminated here in Q2? We've got 8 of you watching. Give us some predictions in the meantime.
Well, that would go to Valtteri Bottas, who had to retire after a seized wheel nut forced him to retire in the 2021 Monaco GP. The seized nut was removed 43 hours later, which officially makes it the longest pit stop turnaround in history.
Yeah, with that F124 beta, I'm very interested to see in terms of, I guess, the setups. How different are things really with those setups? There were some interesting things to note in terms of things I heard of, and I'm gonna go to that list right now that I have. Just a moment time. There was, there it is. I see it. All right, so here's what F1 Esports NPC Hub tweeted, and I asked a Discord server that I'm admin in and another league if all this was true, the first two for sure do seem true. Something to note with that, keep it in the back of your mind when you hear this. After my testing on the F124 beta, I can confirm the following. Now, I'm only going to go through the first 2 of 3 things because these 2 have been proven true. The third one, not so much. ERS management is a thing of the past. You can gain up to 50% in one sector. If so, that's pretty crazy, but it shows that ERS management will be, like he said, a thing of the past, but DRS will not be as powerful from what I've heard. So ERS management, like he said, a thing of the past, but will probably be more crucial in the way of gaining time in the DRS, because DRS does not seem as powerful from what I've heard. That's one thing that was not mentioned, but ERS management is something that should outpower the DRS then if it's not as powerful. The car can lift up to 3 wheels in some corners if taken aggressively. Now, I think of this in areas with those red curbings that we're talking about. If you take it too aggressively, your car probably will lift on 3 wheels. I don't expect that to be too common of a thing, but yeah, I mean, we'll find out what happens with that, if that's any bit true at all. So we have 4 guys still left in the pit lane. Everybody else is on track. Vapor JS is coming through Sector 1. He already went through Abbey, and now he's coming through Turn 3 on a lap. Like I said, go to that right side, then go to the left side, arc the corner, try to find some time. He's doing just that. And now, down into Sector 2, down the Wellington Straight here, picking up a little bit of slipstream from the car in front. But that car in front, though, is on medium tires, the slower tires. And now, coming through Woodcote. Old start, finish straight. McLaren, obviously, with that big constructors lead. No matter if they reach trouble today or not, they're going to remain in the constructors lead for the combined and the regular Tier 1 Constructors Championship. Maggots and Beckett's now 7th gear, down to 5th very quickly. I also heard on F124 as well, with the beta at least, that shifting will be a lot faster in terms of how it is on F123. Probably similar to how 2019 or 2020 was. But we'll find out, like I said, if any of that does become remotely true. In about 45 days' time, DSM Yonder sets in the benchmark at a 26.9. How does Vapor JS, who we're on board with, improve on that? 26.6 from the driver in the Alpine on mediums, but Vapor JS is right in between that. Now the other Aston of Twitey ends up being 4th, or 10's back. Also Samuel Drake Lee 3rd. Eggles goes fastest, 26.1 we're seeing. Also the Mercedes behind that of DHL is 2nd fastest, so 2 rivals in Baku, close to each other once again, but F1 Union splits the pair of them. Next across the line will be the other Williams of Rapid Owen. He goes fastest, 25.6. How about Snowy, who's won here in his home race in other leagues before? Goes 5th fastest behind teammate DHL, 300ths off. Knight's the only other one going to cross the line and going to get a lap in. Everybody else is on an out lap and about to start one. 7th gear, 6th gear, down to 5th. Now, pushing the limits on those curbs is Knights. And here he comes now, purple through Sector 2. We saw him up there on the charts in Q1. Can he replicate that for Q2? We're about to find out here. Nico starts a lap, and so does JJ. But now Knights coming across the line here, reserving for tonight's event. Let's see what the AlphaTauri driver ends up doing. Here he comes. He should be up there on the charts, and he is up there on the charts. Fastest of them all. He's the one they're chasing, 25.3. Now keep in mind, folks, some of these guys in Q2 will be on used sets in comparison to new sets. So we shall find out what they will be doing at the later stages of the session. So we won't have too much of a representative stuff for Q3 in Q2. All that you saw on new sets right there was in Q1. We don't know if any of these guys will use new sets until we see them maybe go out for a second time. But the guys safe of probably going out a second time will probably be our top 3. But championship leader Nico currently going through maggots and backhits. 8th gear, now down to 7th, 6th. Do we see 5th be used? No, we don't. So some guys going down to 5th, some guys only going down to 6th. And now down the hangar straight here. We've seen some lunatics run out in front of the field here. Don't want to have that happen again. Nico now coming through Stowe corner. Looks fine. Now he's got to make it sharp through the chicane. Looked good through the first part. Not as confident in the second part. He'll cross the line here. He won't be fastest, but he will be 4th fastest though. And that's a decent time. The other driver on the lap is the Alfa Romeo. JJ puts it 4th fastest for the team. And the only other one yet to get in a time that is on a lap right now is Danny for Haas. .25 to the second sector from the Haas driver. The only Haas in this session due to Ben crashing out. Let's see what Danny does. Keep in mind, the top 6 here in the championship, the only one not in tonight's event is Tsuchubi. He's currently tied for the championship lead, so we'll have to watch out during tonight's event what happens with that. And the gap, 25.9 though, the gap at the front of the field with Danny and Knights, about 6/10 right there. So Knights put in a stonking lap there to be top of the table. Through the ending bit of Sector 2 as he comes to the split, 2-9. Right now, in the relegation zone, we got Vapor, Samuel, Yonder, Twitey, and now Marcel could be putting his Alpine teammate there into the knockout zone. Knights retires from the session, calling it quits, believing he's safe. But there you go, Marcel, the first one of those guys that we've rode on board with, hopping over those red curbs. You don't want to touch them, but now he's coming across the line, and he's just shy of making Q3. He's the one facing elimination. And now these guys, Vapor, Samuel, Yonder, all those guys will have to go out once again. Yonder hopping over the red curb at the final corner, getting all out of shape, and now starting a lap here as he comes through Abbey Corner. Also, the other Alpine of Margin there, starting a lap. And here comes Yonder. Like I mentioned, going to arc the corner, not arcing the corner as much, but going out a little too wide and invalidating the lap time. So you can't go out of bounds in that section, and you just see what that did to Yonder. That really messed him up. Here we go. 10th place right now on the boards, trying to improve. 1,000th down on the time. If he wants to get out of Q2, he's going to have to beat Snowy. And if you want to create more of a buffer, you beat Union, you beat Nico. DHL is also a target as well you should be putting yourself near. Because those guys, if they see any of these guys in the bottom 5 and bottom 6 area with Margin on the bubble improve, they will want to go out again. But we won't be seeing Yonder improve for the meantime because he invalidated a lap time. Going over the curb and 4 wheels out will do that. So right now, 87 thousandths up. This is an improvement, but this is not going to move him up any places at all. 6th gear through here, already running low on fuel, and about to be 3/4 of the way gone of that battery. Now, he's coming through the final chicane and the final corner, and across the line, he improves, but he doesn't go up any places, though. He just keeps his buffer over his teammate and tries to not be eliminated. Egg also is back out on track as well for Williams. This is 2/10 up right now. He's probably on new tires in comparison to being on used tires. And he's used to this situation because he races a Williams in the other league I commentate in RPL. And he'll get into Q2 a lot. He'll go on used tires probably during the first run, and then he'll go on new tires on the second run. So he's used to going out a second time in Q2, whether it's the fact of being safe or not. But Egg right now is 6 tenths up on the time, and he's fighting Knights now for the top spot in Q2. Knights likely set his lap on new tires, because if he set it on used tires, that is quite a miraculous lap. In the meantime, Egg crosses the line now to go fastest. 25.2 we're into in Q2, and it is both Williams being inside that top 3 once again, but the gap at the front of the field, 23 thousandths. Yonder's trying for another one. He was up in the first sector by a 10th. That's not going to improve many places, but this does help his time, though, to defend over his teammate. as they currently sit 14th and 15th. Aston are an absolute shambles with the way they started the season. Only 1 point, like I said, it came last week in Baku. It came with Yonder, and Yonder is trying to get them another point, the Tier 2 championship protagonist. 3/10 up on the time. This currently can get him into the next round of qualifying, but he needs to continue to improve. Yonder, one more sector to go. And now pushing on the limits, going on the curb, but he's going into the pit lane while he was improving. Did he go back in the pit lane thinking, I need to go out again, and this lap can be better. If I do that and go to new tires, this can get me in. We'll find out. Track evolution can be a big thing around here, and also used tires versus new tires is what we're seeing. Vapor JS on the lap right now, 1.4 off the top, now 0.2 up on his time though. This currently would get him in. And safely for now too, over Snowy. If he does get in, you're knocking both Alpines out, and you're already keeping both Aston Martins out in the meantime. I'm surprised Yonder aborted the lap and came back in. But now through Maggots Beckett's, how marginal are you going to be if you're Vapor JS? Are you going to be on the limit here on these curbs? Not on the right side one right there, but he's gone too deep because of it, and he's still improving. 0.5 up on the time. As long as he backed off there when going off, using that runoff, and he didn't gain any time from it, and he shows that, he should be fine without taking a penalty from the steward's office. I'm sure they would have wanted him to back off, but anyways, Vapor JS will cross the line. Will he be safe with this lap? Improving. Yes, he is. 5th fastest. That puts Snowy under the bubble, and both Alpines out, and everybody except for Yonder is back out. And now Yonder is back out. We've got about 2 minutes remaining in this session. Knights, Egg, Owen, they believe they're all safe, and I'd agree, but I think the only other one that is safe right now based on Vapor's lap, considering this could be maybe a cooldown lap and going for another one, or this could be it. I would say Danny's also safe there in 4th place as well. That's quite interesting there. We're going to watch Samuel Drake Lee in the bottom 5 because he's facing elimination, and he's the only one without a teammate there in that bottom 5 facing elimination. His teammate was already eliminated back in Q1, and DRS has now applied down the hangar straight here. Or sorry, the Wellington straight, excuse me. It looked like Samuel's down on the time. Coming out of Woodcote, down the old start finish straight, Samuel. And I don't think he's using any bit of his battery. I think he's trying to go and charge up for another one. Maybe due to a mistake on this lap thus far. 50 seconds remain, so we can get back to the checkered flag just in time. Got DHL, Nico, JJ, all these guys on laps trying to avoid being eliminated. And here we go through Sector 1. I believe it's DHL first. Is he up on his time right now? Yes, 0.2. So he, as long as he doesn't get invalidated, he is safe with the improvements he's making. Nico's up by 1/10. JJ is coming through. He's up by 2/10, so these guys all finding time on their new tires. And how about the Alpine further on back? That is Marcel up by 3/10. And currently, if he does improve this lap, that knocks Snowy into the bottom 5 and in that relegation zone. So in the equation of trying to get themselves into Q3, you've got both Alpines, both Aston Martins, and Samuel going for another one who did make the flag, but the first one who will be crossing the flag will be DHL. 0.5 up on the time. This could be critical, especially if others all improve. Egg believes he's safe, Knights believes he's safe, and Owen believes they're safe. We'll find out where they all get put when things get done with this session. But right now, the first one crossing the line will be DHL. DHL crosses now, and he will be safe, but it is P3 in Q2. Marcel up, his teammate up. We got Nico improving to 3rd. JJ next. JJ improves to go fastest in Q2. 25.2. That's the top 3 within a 10th. And now the other Alpine there. Marcel, the other Alpine, is 6th there. That's a major improvement. That knocks Snow into the bottom 5. And the Alpine teammate knocks Union into the bottom 5. And now Union need to improve. And Union knocks Vapor out. So Vapor better be on another lap. He is on another lap. He is improving, it looks like. But how much? Only just a little. Not enough. Snowy knocks Danny out. Danny looked like he had a good lap, and he's now improving too. Danny now improving and knocks out Margin. Danny goes fastest over JJ. That's 4 cars within a tenth. And that got almighty close to the end of qualifying. But my goodness, I think Rapid Owen just barely escaped elimination. Yes, he did. Look at the gap there from 1st to 10th in Q2. 4 tenths. This field is insanely close. And the guys who were the top 3 there at the start of the session and into the end of the session, Rapid Owen, Knights, Egg, they only ended up 3rd, 4th, and 10th. So maybe a questionable decision from Rapid Owen to retire. But it worked out. That's what matters. We got 1 Haas-in, we got 1 Alfa Romeo in, both Williams, an AlphaTauri, a Red Bull, 1 McLaren. Vapor's eliminated. That's big for the constructors and combined. Both Mercedes in, eliminated and out in that bottom 5. Margin, Samuel, Vapor JS, Twitty, and Yonder. Twitty improved over Yonder. Yonder out. Vapor out for McLaren. That's a big shock there. Samuel Drake Lee as well out. But the 2 teams that got themselves into the next round of qualifying, 2 Williams, 2 Mercedes.
The German Grand Prix, European Grand Prix, and Luxembourg Grand Prix.
The other ones in are different teams that it's made up of. So nice to get different makes into the session. 25-2 was our time at the top of the board. I want to check the pull time here in a league that I recently commentated and see what I can predict the pull time to be. Chat, give us your top 3 predictions here for qualifying in Q3 and give us your pull time prediction. It was a 25-2 that they were chasing in Q2. Now what will it be in Q3? I'm going to check that pull time and just see here what it might be here for Q3. So a tier 2 league I recently commentated here, the pull time was a 25-3. That was a little slow in comparison to what the tier 1 pull time was in that same league. The pull time in that tier 1 league right there. No rain in the session, surprisingly, so that was good. We're getting a little more clouds forming, but not going to hurt us, I don't think. A 24-6 was the pull time in that other league, and a 25-0 was our 2nd place time. I think realistically, if we're looking at a pull time here, it's realistically going to be anywhere from that 24-6, 9, 8 area where that pull time was from that other league that I commentated here recently, and a 25-0 where that 2nd place spot was. We're going to improve on Q2. It's just a matter of how much. Are we going to improve by 2 tenths, or are we going to improve by half a second? 4 guys out on track right now, exiting the pits. Now make it 5, now make it 6. Home race for a lot of these guys. Would be a lovely win for all of them. Can they do it? Also very big in the championship here if you're looking at Nico into the next round of qualifying, but specifically the guys in between Nico. Tachubi's not here. Vapor got eliminated in Q2. Egg is also in this session. He's 8th place right now, but he's not going to lap it. He was up there in Q2. JJ as well as in Q3. No surprise there. DHL, again, showing why he's also top 6 in the championship too. But Mercedes, who got both their cars in, they're 3rd in the championship. Williams, who got both their cars in, they're 5th in the championship. Both teams right there, 2nd and 3rd in our combined championship. But McLaren leading the whole thing. They only have 1 car in this session, so McLaren, we'll find out if they can continue. Good strides, though, come the race, but they need it in the race rather than qualifying right now. Because right now, Mercedes and Williams outpacing them. And our first laps to set the table and set the benchmark will happen with Snowy. We'll ride on board with him. He'll come through Abbey Corner now. 8th gear, down to 7th. Like I mentioned earlier, that is the first time we've seen that happen. And now, draining the battery. A little wide there at turn 3, but I think it's to kind of compromise your line to get turn 4 hooked up. Now a little bit of wiggle. Turn 5 here, hugging the inside line. DRS applied for Snowy. What's the first sector looking like? 27.5. Now, Brooklands, he comes through. Not going to use any bit of the curbing. He may use a little bit on exit, but he's sliding the rears. And I think he might back off of this one. I don't know if he will. Right now, he's not. That was a major slide from Snowy. Now, here he comes through Cop's Corner, right on the limit, but not invalid. Yellow flags, that's at the ending bit of Sector 3. That's Union starting his lap. But in the meantime, Maggots and Beckett's for Snowy looks to be a lot better, and without any slides this time compared to prior. This benchmark, though, that he's setting on the first lap, 3-3, is not going to be it. So we'll switch to JJ when he comes through there in just a few moments' time. That will surely be better than a 3-3. He's going better right now with a 2-3. So how bad was Snowy's lap here in comparison to the competition? Snowy, the first one across the line. How is this looking for the home driver? 26.9, not so great. JJ will come next. It will be the chicane for him this time that he's coming up on. Third gear, fourth, up the gears he'll go to get to the line in the thick of time. 25.7, that's 1.2 better, so he's able to improve in Sector 3 by 0.2. Next up is the one trying to chase pole first of anybody who was fast there, Rapid Owen. Rapid Owen is second. Now here comes the rest of the field in that competition area. Knight's invalidated, so he went wide and cost himself on that lap. Next up is DHL, who lost the win last week in controversial fashion, but now he can take pole position here tonight. And can he do it? Only the front row for now. Next up is Egg. Or sorry, not Egg, the Alpine of Marcel, then Egg further back, excuse me. Danny first, who was almost facing elimination, goes fastest, 25.6. That's currently provisional pole, but can Union have something to say back at it and clap back? No, fourth fastest, but still close. And then Egg will beat that even more, 25.0, half a second on the competition. We're now into the 25.0s. However, Nico, championship leader, can he say something about Egg's pole time right now? Remember, these are the first laps of the two they'll do, so he still can find time later on, but right now, he's only third. I don't know if Knights is going for on another one on a worse tank of battery, but we'll find out here. Almost got blocked by a Williams right there. We got guys rooting for Knights. We got guys rooting for Snowy in chat. We got a lot of passion and energy, but Knights and his aborted lap time will take himself to the pit lane and try to recharge that passion and energy that he had. He had a lot of passion though because he got himself invalid on that lap. Not the best of circumstances for him. Everyone else, it looks like, on a cooldown lap, but Egg currently in front of the competition, it looks like, by half a second. Well, Egg could be chasing the World Championship. You're right about that, Radian. He is 6 points back from Nico. And right now, Egg first, Nico third.
In comparison, a typical road car won't exceed around 6,000 RPM.
Everyone back into the pit lane. The lane of pit. And, I thought I'd say, as a reminder, folks, there's 9 of you watching. Just a reminder, the BRL League page has finally got themselves up on the YouTube. And you will be able to see from now on every full race uploaded from the future onwards. Make sure you hit subscribe on the Bozzy Racing League YouTube channel. Therefore, you don't miss a thing. And don't miss any of the previous races get uploaded. Yeah, we do. We do now. We do have a YouTube. You're right. We do. So don't miss out on that. We will have obviously full races uploaded. Maybe once things get kicked off, maybe Logivic can help out with some more fun events on the YouTube. Maybe some predictions before each season. Maybe some fun events uploaded. Who knows? We can do a lot more with that at BRL with a YouTube channel now compared to before. we used to only have a Twitch and races did not get uploaded, but now races do get uploaded, and you can see the previous events there. Chama? Is that what you wanted me to say?
If you don't know, the tubulars safety device that sits over the driver's head, aptly named the halo,
Well, I think we're getting our first one back out on track here.
9 kilograms to the car's total weight. The United Kingdom has achieved more World Drivers' Championships than any other country. Over a quarter
Andrew saying get him out of Tier 1. Well, you are Tier 2 full-time for a lot of reasons. Looks like it's getting more cloudier. I don't know how it will affect our track evolution. I don't think it will rain. I'm going to ask the drivers if we have any rain for the race, though. Just to make sure. You always want to make sure. But yeah, JJ back out on track. Nico back out on track. I think they're going to try to avoid any bit of the traffic that will be coming their way. Obviously less traffic compared to Q2 and Q1 with 5 or 7 less drivers here in the session. But 2.5 minutes remain before the checkered flag is waving. We have 4 guys now out on track. Make it 5 soon here. Everyone else coming back out to defend their laps or improve their laps. Knight's the only one who did not get a lap in. He's 3rd of the guys in that train when coming back out. And everybody is coming back out at the current time and moment except for Danny here. We should be seeing Danny come out any moment. I'm going to see if he comes out anytime soon. He should be coming out. We'll find out. But JJ will be the first one, of course, to start this lap. I don't blame you, Yonder. I would want to find it out, too. Because if we do have rain, it would not be the first time around Silverstone here. No doubt about it. But finding a setup is definitely more important in maximizing your field because these guys will have their battery, of course, recharged on their outlap, and they will have their fuel down all the way to where they run 1 lap, and that is it. Because right now you have JJ just coasting, trying to get to the line here ahead of the rest of the pack, but also get his tires and everything cooled back up and worked all out. But even when he does that, he'll come across the line with less than 90 seconds remaining, and in fact less than 60 seconds remaining. So this does mean anyone who gets to the line will have it one and done. The only risk getting to the checkered flag will be Danny, who is trying to defend that front row and improve on it. But now JJ coming through sector 1 through Abby, 7th gear, maxing it out, revving it out. And now what's sector 1 at the split gonna look like here in just about 10 seconds time? 3rd gear, 4th gear, up the gears will go. DRS now gonna be engaged down the Wellington Straight. Up by a tenth. So this currently, with the lap time, can get him under the front row. What are our other drivers doing when they come across the sector split? Everybody coming across the line now to get a lap in, but there's only 20 seconds remaining. So now Danny needs to make it to the line in the thick of time, but I think he may just barely do it. In the first sector, Marcel is improving by 2/10. So we'll see what all these guys are doing. Danny, though, comes out of the final corner now, and he makes the checker flag by about 5 seconds. The AlphaTauri coming across the sector split. 97 thousandths there for Nico. What about... Hold on. JJ coming through the sector split. 3/10 up in the time. What are those guys doing? Egg down on the time. So that lap must have been really good there to try to defend pole position. But now, here comes the competition to try to knock off Egg off the top spot. We got 6 different teams in that top 6, but will it all change come the checker flag? The checker flag's not waving, and now JJ makes himself go under the front row. Next up, we got Marcel improving by 5/10 in the second sector split, but is this enough? Egg right now for pole position. Is he doing anything to improve? No. Next, across the line, Marcel gets him up to 3rd. And now, here come the rest of the improvements. Knights didn't have a single lap in prior. This will be his one and done. Across the line now. Can Knights go into pole position? Knights crosses the line to go pole! Next up is Nico. Nico only 4th. And now Union is coming. Union can't do it. It's going to all close in the times. And here goes Egg. He couldn't improve. He missed out. Rapid Owen across the line. Only 6th. Only 3 other drivers can do it. And now it looks to be Knights one and done to go pole. But DHL only 3rd. Oh my word. Snowy crashed across the line. But only Danny could get close enough to Knights and goes front row, but Knights on the lap that was one and done makes it the one that was worth the wait. He goes pole position at his home race and ahead of the competition there by 45 thousandths. Quite marginal at the front, but 3 drivers in that top 3 separated by less than a tenth. $25-0 at the top of the board. That's what we saw for pole position. It's unfortunate that Snowy binned it on his lap. He was up by 9 tenths, and I'm sure he would have improved in Sector 3 because the gap between the whole entire field who got proper laps in, 5 tenths right there. Egg, who was on pole position, fell down to 3rd. Here's our order here for the British Grand Prix. Knights, Danny, 2 esports teams separating themselves at the front row. Egg and DHL make up the second row, 2 rivals last week. JJ, Nico, Marcel, 7 different teams in that top 7. And then you have Rapid Owen missing out. Union as well in 9th. And Snowy, the chat feels he's lacking. He only qualified 10th. A lot of drivers in the Tier 1 chat talking about their mistakes that they made on their laps, and that being the big difference in what could have happened and what did happen. You see cloud cover coming across the racetrack right now, and I'm going to look at our strategy for tonight's event. We likely are going to be getting a soft hard, medium hard, maybe even reverse the strategy, and you could be getting a medium soft or soft medium as well. Around this circuit, we've got a 28-second pit stop loss. It's the longest pit lane at all the circuits we go to. But in surprise of that long pit stop, though, we have only 14% you save back in the pit lane. So you have to be careful on conserving your battery for tonight's event. Lots of DRS trains. Get your predictions now, chat, here before lights out. And here come the 5 red lights at everyone's home Grand Prix here, Silverstone. The lights come on, and the lights now look to go out, and they're away for the British Grand Prix. Pedal to the metal. Knights gets off the line quite well, and Danny gonna be side by side with Egg at turn 1. Knights ahead and through, and JJ still battling side by side. There was a car getting punted wide there, I think, in the midfield. Now Rapid is battling Owen, Rapid Owen is battling Marcel, excuse me. But now for the lead, the gap is 3 tenths in closing, and Vapor JS, championship protagonist, with a big trouble on lap 1. He's down the field. Snowy getting overtaken. He's back to 13th. He's lost 3 spots. And now Nico battling DHL for 5th. This is all kicking off on lap 1, and it's still not going to be done. Snowy down the order. He's down to 16th. He's also facing trouble. So Mercedes, who were top 3 in this race in the constructors, having trouble. And now Vapor, who was top 3 in the driver's standings into this race, having trouble. And now you look at the positions gained. The big winner, DSM Yonder. 2:10 separates the race leaders. Now, here comes Danny turning on the Jets. Here comes Knights turning on the Jets. Both of them either attacking or defending their spots. Everybody on mediums or hards. And here's JJ gonna come for it. He goes to 3rd place already. How about Vapor? Also getting Snowy there at the back of the field. He already lost a lot of time, Vapor, so at least to get 1 spot is at least limiting the damage, and got Union almost hitting the back of Marcel there as he overtakes the Alpine driver here. But leading lap 1 is FRC Knights over Danny. Snowy, Ben, they're both under the pit lane. They got damage on lap 1. And now Nico. Did he catch DHL napping for a second? I thought he did, and now he lost the rear on the curb, and Rapid Owen punched into the back of him after having no car control. Nico did there for a second. Luckily kept it straight, and I think Rapid Owen helped him keep it straight. And now for the lead. Danny's closing, but not enough. What a cracking start to this British Grand Prix. Always is a good one. And both Alpines, sorry, not both Alpines. Marcel and Owen there almost came to collision. And now it's a side-by-side race here on the old start-finish straight between them. Still wheel-to-wheel. And now put F1 Union in the equation. He's also in the mix. Is he going to try to get 2-1 here at Copse Corner? He's on the inside. And he's almost split between both Alpines, but he remains ahead of Rapid Owen. Hold on, our lead is getting close. 1/10 the gap, 2/10 the gap. Danny's continuing to gain. JJ's there for company. This is still not done, and we're about to enable DRS here to make it more fun. He's gaining, but just not enough. And here comes Union, not Union, Nico. Nico gets DHL for 5th place. Further on in the background, lots of racing here in the midfield. It's still continuing at the bottom end of the points. Yonder's through for the last point spot. Rapid Owen is in. I think he picked up a bit of damage. You can just see that end plate missing, and that was Twitey, I believe, going onto the curb. Rapid Owen, though, more damage to this race, speeding in the pits. What an insane start to this race, and Danny is about to push along Knights, our race leader, with DRS enabled on lap 3 of this event. Rapid Owen obviously pitting. He's the 3rd guy to pit so far this race, along with Ben and Snowy, and Vapor gets another place. He got the upper edge there on Twitey, but now DRS galore here for the top 8 drivers. Does anybody make a move in the train? I think Union is the only one going for it down the inside. Union below halfway on this battery, so now he's got to recharge it and hope for a little better here while in this train. While in this train, you can really charge the battery, but he's going to say, screw that, I'll use a bit of it because I need to get past this Alpine here who might be slowing me up. He's in an Alpine sandwich now with Rapid Owen pitting. Fair play to Rapid Owen, realizing that damage that he had and not wanting to lose any more time, he decided to go into the pit lane, one of the first ones to blink. And now you can see Knights just trying to use all the track here to try to remain in front, and that battery also being turned on. You see the battery difference, about a 30% difference here almost between him and Danny, but they remain in the same spots they were just moments ago. Union goes for it, up into 7th. And now Marcel is looking for a little bit of a switcheroo here, but can't do it. This train once again remains for 9th place. Aston Martin are about to tie their best finish of the season with DSM Yonder if they remain where they're at. But now lap 4 of this race is underway. Second time with DRS we'll be having. And Danny, once again, 3/10 back. Still within striking distance of Knights, but Knights obviously wants to use that ERS there to remain in front, and we're going to see him probably turn it on once again down the straight to stay in front. This time he doesn't. It's going to be a race to lose between him and his ERS. However, with the difference with him not turning it on and turning it on, you can see how much down this straight on the Wellington straight there that Danny does end up gaining. He gained about 3/10 right there, but he stayed behind him. Again, I'm going to assume he stays behind him there as he does turn on the battery for a second. I'm assuming he stayed behind him because if you're following another driver, you're going to want to back off before it says you should and brake. And in doing that, you're going to save a bit of battery here. In the meantime, if you're able to do that, you're going to be at a better battery spot than your race leader here. As long as Knights isn't backing you up in the thick of things, then you're just fine here in terms of your battery saving. But he's not going to save any bit of this. It's going to be Danny up into the race lead. Danny controls this race now from the top spot. Knights couldn't try to switch back, so he is now down to P2. JJ as well. Nice battery saving here. He's got 3/4 left. Also a move being made at the chicane. Union maybe pushed out a little bit wide. He lost about 9/10 right there. DHL through. And we got a spinner. We got a big crash here at the final corner. Virtual safety car has been deployed. Vapor JS, 3rd in the championship, is out. Samuel Drake Lee also got collected. That's massive. And now it's been upgraded to a full safety car. Third in the championship, facing trouble, and this only helps Nico. This only helps Nico because the only other protagonist in this race still left to him close in the championship. DHL, who's a spot behind him, Egg, who's a spot ahead of him, and JJ, who's 2 spots ahead of him. So all those guys still left in this race who can take the championship lead from the thick of things. It's all 3rd through 6th now. Vapor JS, our first one that we lost from this race, very unfortunate. That's a McLaren out of this race. They have 4 podiums in the season, so this is definitely going to hurt their chance of taking a 5th podium. I know, Chichubi didn't race because it was full qualifying, so that's why he's not here as well. If we didn't mention that already. Alright, so who blinks, who doesn't? If you're on medium tires, you're going to want to go to the hards, but if you're on hards here, you're going to be compromised due to this, like Egg is, DHL, and you got to get it into the pit lane within the speed limit. It's a lot slower here than it usually is, and Egg picked up a 5-second penalty for a collision in the pit lane. That's with JJ. That might be served right here. And Marjan, the Alpine driver, stays out. He's the only one here in the top 13 that does that. Will the game serve Egg's 5-second time penalty? No. They're going to wait to serve his 5-second time penalty. And interestingly enough, everybody who was on either the mediums or hards went to the hards or mediums, but Knights, the big outlier, going to the softs, and Twitey also doing the same. You can't make the rest of this way on the softs. However, you can make it into a 2-stop. I think that's what they're going to do.
Where the formula are the rules and the one referring to the fact that this is the top tier motor race.
Samuel Drake Lee wondering why Vapor JS didn't ghost, but Vapor and Snowy come to collision again. If you're familiar with the league GSR, they've collided there before. And once again, trouble is stricken for them too. Vapor JS in the start feeling like he was taken out by Harrison, and then I think the safety car there that was caused was obviously Samuel and Vapor though. Well, the safety car will stay out for an extra lap, of course, because you need rapid O and a catch back up. Snowy and Ben, who already pitted on the opening laps because of their troubles and misfortunes, they've already pitted, so they're going to be fine. But keep in mind here, track limit penalties around the circuit will be tough. I've seen it decide podium here before in many occasions. But right now, the only penalty to anybody is Egg, and that's for a 5-second penalty there. That's for a collision. That's not for track limits. But that still will affect him because if he does end up pitting again, he will serve that 5-second. Oh, thank you, Radian. I appreciate the nice comments. Well, in the meantime, let's remind you folks, since it's the race and we're under the safety car, where we are the rest of this weekend and next week. Tier 2 tomorrow's in Silverstone to end off the weekend, and then we'll start off next weekend in Spain and end it off in Spain. We're around our halfway point of the season, and this is where we find out who are our contenders and who are our pretenders in the championship this season. Vapor going to take a big hit in the championship though with this DNF, that's for sure. Let's take a run through the top 5 so far in this race. Obviously, some of them got compromised by double stacks in this field. Some of them didn't. But Marjan, our race leader, staying out here. Didn't have the worst of qualifyings, but he was eliminated in Q2, just shy of getting through. He's got a decent bit of pace, but on these hard tires, will he be able to hang on? Danny here is second place of our drivers. So he obviously was facing elimination during Q2, excuse me. And with that being said, with him facing elimination, you know, he ended up clapping back and taking the top spot. So we'll find out if he can do the same once again here. We've also got as well Knights, who is third place. In the thick of things. Trying for a win here as a reserve on the soft tires. JJ points in every race so far this season in fourth. Egg, as well as another driver who's had points every race this season. He's currently sitting fifth, but he got the penalty though in the process. There's 4 drivers in this field who have points in every race. And I think even with the safety car coming in, we're only going to have maybe 3 of them repeat that, because Vapor's out of this race. It was Vapor, Nico, Egg, and Union who had points in every race so far this season. Safety car coming in. Let's find out what happens. When does Margin go? It looks like he's about to be back on the gas, and here he is away with the safety car in. Back to green flag racing, turning on the battery now, and for our net lead, Knights is all over the back of Danny, just pushing him along here at turn 1. Knight's gonna go for the move. Knight's on the fresher tires. He should get by here with these, but he will be side by side, pinching almost to the door being shut there by turn 3. But now, back up the inside is Danny, pushing Knights to the limit, and Knights is through. Almost a bit of contact on corner exit, but Knights through up into the net lead. Now, Danny gonna come back at it. He was weaving and bobbing there, looking for a little bit of a space to make the move, but couldn't do it. Further on back, we have a massive battle here at the back of the train with a lot of the guys who got taken out in the start of this race. Here's Snowy, here's Samuel, here's Ben, here's Rapid Owen as well. And now for the lead, here's Knights with the battery being turned on, taking it. Egg as well takes 4th, and it's all kicking off on this restart. Snowy as well gets Ben. And now Danny trying to get through for 2nd. Obviously before, 1 car separated him and Knights. Now that's no longer the case. Further on back, we've got DSM yonder, wheel to wheel with Navs down the straight. Also further on back, it's a 3-car race here. Put a blanket under them. Here's Rapid Owen. Side by side with Samuel. DHL gets Nico. Little swapperoo there. And now I think Ben wanted to try the up and under on Rapid Owen, but he couldn't get through. Knights leads this race, of course, and Egg is still looking to make the move on Margin at turn 1. Here he goes for 3rd. Up and through into 3rd place. Now using battery to defend. And here's also JJ trying to go down the inside. He's through and gets the upper edge on him. And back down the inside. This could end in tears. Luckily it didn't. DHL now trying to go through. He's also another one who's won multiple times across all tiers. Won multiple times in tier 1. Trying to get the move done. Side by side. Pinching now. Nico having to avoid him. Going very wide. Opens the door for Union. And it's all cracking here for 5th place. They're all trying to get by Margin. And Margin's finally been overtaken. And now Nico, who's had points in every race this season as well. He's trying to get the move done. He's had 2 podiums to his name, but no win. And obviously leading the championship. Side by side here, Maggots Beckett's. You don't want to do this or it will end in tears. And luckily, Margin backed off. And now it's Union's chance to take off the pieces here. Here goes Union. The battery turned on. Overtake button engaged for just a split second. He's through. Now look at Margin trying for a switchback here. He'll have to try to move around the outside. Late on the brakes. The late lunge. Can he pull it off here on the right side of the chicane? Side by side still. No. Just now enabled a little bit out of shape there right in front of his teammate Marcel. And you can see it's so cloudy on the circuit. You might think it You might think it might start raining any second. Try saying that too quick. That's what happens. But yeah. This is a tough one for sure with the cloud cover coming over. I didn't hear of any rain, but you still just never know with what can happen. Now, Danny down a place from Egg. I'm sorry to miss that, folks. I was trying to find some stats here while the 2 Alpines squawking around. Now Egg is trying to take advantage of Knights. These 2 have raced before in other leagues, so they are very familiar with each other. But now they are on 2 different strategies. How will they take advantage on those strategies? Of course, Egg having the 5-second, Knights having the soft tires, and Rapid Owen side by side with Snowy at Cop's corner. Wow. Talk about balls and moves right there. I don't think Snowy wanted to give that up. I can tell you that for sure. Darn it, I need access to the sheets there, Logan. I don't know if you're watching, but it says I need access. The Alpine, who still is yet to pit, goes off the road. Nav's trying to defend from yonder. He does so. And Rapid Owen and Snowy are still not done at this. Here's the final chicane. While they go side by side, they do bang wheels. Snowy goes off, jumps the curb, and goes right into him. and both them used the runoff. You'd think Ben would have took advantage and went through just like Hamilton did, but he couldn't. Now on the Hamilton straight, side by side, they're almost about to touch, and Snowy's going spinning, and he saves it. And now Rapid Owen around. That was inevitable. But the way they were racing, that should have happened about a few corners ago, but it did. Thought we were maybe going to see a move with the gap I saw coming down with Yonder and the car in front there at Cop's Corner. Going for a move at Cop's Corner is kind of like going for a move at a Rouge, but now our first track limit penalty has been picked up. It's Martian who's yet to pit, and now our race lead is closing and gaining his egg, and can he go for it? No. Further on back, JJ is battling DHL, and this is a 5-car race for the lead. DHL is finally taking advantage on those mediums. The more they battle, the more the guys behind that will close in for the lead, but we're now about to get to the halfway point in this race. Well, make it about an 8-car race here. Look at this. All the guys there in the top 6 all caught up. Ourselves there, Rapid Owen speeding in the pit lane, and I'm going to guess this will be our second retirement. It will be. Williams came into today 5th in the Constructors. And now the other Williams is trying to tackle Knights for the race lead and can't do it. If you want me to use some NFL terms there, Ridian, no places intercepted for the time being. So Vapor describing his race at the start, Snowy took him out, and then it became Samuel taking him out. And Twitey is racing Martian here. Side by side now. This is for the last point spot around the outside at Cop's Corner. The move is complete, and now Navs is our second driver to pick up a track limit penalty. These guys, they can't keep exceeding the track limits, and the more they do it, the more others will keep doing it. Here's the battery being turned on for Egg, and here he comes on the race lead with Knights. Side by side, Egg through, and in the background, DHL trying to go through. They're going to continue to remain wheel to wheel on the Egg corner exit, and now he'll have JJ trying to take advantage of him. Side by side to the chicane. There's still room to be made. And now Martian has caused the yellow flags. He's down the order. But through is Danny still for 3rd place. And at 1 and 2, they remain within 2 tenths. Wow. This is tight racing here at the front of the field. Our driver with the most podiums across all tiers there in 12th place. Yonder, just shy of points, but if he can get Samuel and Twitey, he may get another points spot for Aston Martin there. Into the pits, obviously, Martian was trying to hold it out, couldn't do it, and now hits for the first time this race. I had my Twitch screen exited out of nowhere. I don't know if I did that on accident, trying to go through screens here and exiting out of one of them, but I am now back into the Twitch chat to see what you guys have to say about this race. Let us know what you think halfway through. Who will be one of our Driver of the Day contenders? We've got Egg, who gained 2 spots. We've got Navs, who gained 8 spots from not having a lap there. We'll see who does it. Now for our race lead, Nice is trying to regain it, and he's going to use the left side this time, and around the long way, he takes it. Further on back, the gap between some cars here is within a 10th. They're close with overtakes, but the one who's making the overtake now, with Navs lagged out, is Samuel. Side by side here at Samuel and Twitey, alongside still at Stowe Corner, Samuel excelling ahead. And Samuel will take place, and he holds on and keeping Twitey at bay. And Nav's internet died. That's lovely. I'm being sarcastic. And Egg reclaims the lead over Knights. Nice little DRS pass, but they're wasting their battery in the lead. You got the car behind of Danny, who almost has 2 times of that, and Knights is trying for a switcheroo. He almost was able to pull it off there, and now he turns on the battery. He can't get the move done here. Egg obviously has that 5-second that he could get removed. So now, another thing that he can get removed is 2nd race in a row, but the guy who scored in every round right now, leading this race, he's one of 3 drivers who will continue that streak as of right now. Question obviously becomes, can he do it? And right now, he's able to do it. Here comes Knights back at it. Once again, the lead is swapping, and Knights is the one out front. BHL is also close to Danny still. This is still not a battle that's gonna end anytime soon. A battle that's continuing to brew. Marcel is back into the pits, and did he think he couldn't make it the rest of the way on these mediums? We'll keep an eye on that later on. Twitey's also in, so this is gonna give DSM Yonder some points. Question I feel for Yonder is, if he is in the points, can he keep it? We'll see what these guys have go on later on in the medium since those guys pitted, but Egg trying to reclaim the lead once again. He's still staying behind at Knights, and he will stay behind Knights for a little bit longer. Danny as well is also being kept at bay right there, just holding on for third place, excuse me. He's trying to get by Egg because he knows Egg will appeal that 5-second penalty, so you can't really sit behind him. It's not like it's for track limits, though, and everybody remaining single file here down the old start-finish straight. And Egg is just closing in on Knights for the lead. It's still remaining close. Now the question is, can Egg retake this lead? The battery being used, he's got similar battery to our leader Knights, and now he's just draining all of it to take back the lead of the race. And here we go, DHL is side by side with JJ still. Can they remain side by side on the exit of the corner? No, the corner is now DHL's, and the door was shut, and JJ has to concede the place. But this is a 7-car race for this race victory. Egg holding on, while the tires hold on. The question about tires holding on will probably come more for Knights. Snowy takes the last point spot over DSM Yonder. Samuel getting into an incident there earlier with Vapor. We'll see if there's any penalties to be applied. Navs also has a penalty there for track limits in 9th place. We'll see if Snowy can drag Yonder along and catch back up. But once again, it could be a drag race here into Sector 2 between Knights and Egg, and it is not at all. Knights still remaining behind. Union still in this train. He obviously scored points in every race that we mentioned earlier. Nico as well, the championship leader into this race. If Egg does win it, he will take over the championship lead. So very vital for Egg to get this 5-second removed. And Danny is not no slouch any longer. He's not waiting around here. He wants to get the move done on Knights, but using the battery, though, is not going to be enough to do it. And now JJ trying to warrant an attack on DHL. He has a little bit of a space open there to go on the inside to sneak a peek, but he can't do it. And Knights now makes this a 6-car race, coming into the pits for a second time. That safety car he was hoping for did not happen. And he'll obviously go to, I bet, another pair of softs if he has any. He's in for softs, yes. So this will be a late race attack on the drivers in front. Yonder is now being passed by Marcel, and it looks like it's troubling for Yonder there because he's losing tons of pace. And we got Twitey, who got another penalty there, it looked like. And for a race lead, it's a 5-6-car race now. Knights coming out of the pit lane, overtaken by Marcel for the last point spot. So we'll see what ends up happening between those guys. Knights obviously on the fresher tires. We're going to assume that Egg gets that 5-second removed as long as you know, stewards do feel he deserves to get it removed. But now going wide there, compromising his line, will open the door for Danny, and we can be seeing a new race leader once again. Here goes Danny, up into the lead of the race. He'll take it. And now DHL with a little bit of a dive bomb. Here he goes on Egg. Contact. They wheel bang, and it's almost neck and neck into the chicane. Egg ahead and holding him at bay. Oh, but he makes a massive, massive error there on corner exit, and he's all out of shape, and he'll lose 2 places, and maybe make that 3. And now side by side for turn 1. JJ and DHL side by side, DHL through, and now they're about to lose DRS if they continue to go side by side. And Nico got Egg, so Egg, who is going to take the championship lead, is going to make a big buffer there with that, and Snowy into the pit lane with a 5-second penalty. So DHL did not pick up DRS here, so it'll be JJ's fight to take for second place. Here he goes on the attack, on the inside line. JJ's through, and he slingshotted that move with quite ease, but now he'll pinch DHL, giving him barely any space, hoping that DHL cannot get through. JJ with the corner exit speed holds on, side by side now on the old pit straight. And they now go back to single file. You don't want to get it side by side there into Cop's corner. That can be treacherous. And this battling will cost them time. They're continuing to lose DRS to a race leader, Danny. Started what, second place? Yeah, he started second. JJ and DHL swap once again. Can Nico go on the attack too? No, it would have to be a late corner charge. Now, he'll try for a cutback here. He can't do it. Also into the pit lane on medium tires is DHL. This is very interesting though, because the medium guys are really losing out here. You saw the grip that Egg was losing. He's obviously down to 4th now. Well, up to 4th after being 5th, but down to 5th, though, from what was the race lead. And DHL onto the soft, so it seems like everybody who pitted there late on and was hoping for a safety car, obviously going to either softs or mediums. Most guys going softs here, such as Snowy, DHL, Knights, fastest lap going into Knights, and now Union is through on Egg, so this is critical now to fight for the podium. Egg losing a lot of time, but I bet he doesn't want to pit here because he knows what will cost him here from it. The guy who you would expect with these guys pitting to take advantage and at least get to 1 point spot would have been Yonder, but the fact of the matter is Yonder just doesn't have the pace to do it. He's not the only one though. I mean, Samuel took advantage, Navs took advantage. They'll be the ones defending on older tires now. And Radiant says a safety car now would be nice. Well, if a safety car does happen, it does compromise a lot of people, that's for sure. But it helps these race leaders, though, because they have that 28-second buffer, if not a 28-second buffer, at least close to one, to where they will be racing side-by-side with people like Knights, Marcel, and DHL out of the pit lane when it all is said and done, if there is a safety car. The big thing that will help these guys more than a safety car at the front of the field is a VSC. We got Snowy through on Yonder. Yonder's off. Yonder's just mowing the grass. Valtteri Bottas style. He felt we weren't giving him enough screen time, so he wants more screen time himself. Marcel still close to Knights, but more importantly, 3rd place. 2nd place, that's all up for grabs. This is the final podium spots, and those guys all in the hards, except for Egg. I'm sure Egg is just frustrated losing a lot of time here. He really had a chance to take a lot more, but is not going to do it. Unless something miraculous happens, of course. Yellow flag sets at the back of the field. That is margin around. But now the battle's still continuing for 2nd place in this race, of course. Oh, that's Nico. A little bit of lag, excuse me, right there. I thought that was going to affect him. And Snowy on the attack here to try to get back into the points, but is it too little too late? He's gone through on Ben. And now the guys who really will be attacking is Knights and Marcel here on Navs. They've caught up to the guys at the back of that field who stayed out, though, for as long as they can and don't really have the pace or lagged out. I really never got Navs an invite back. I really should be polite and give him one back, especially since the battling has all calmed down. Sorry, Navs. I'm sorry about that. Nico really is got better battery than JJ, charging it up for a late race attack. Obviously, Danny barely any battery, so if he gets attacked here anytime soon, he'll be short on the fuse of battery. But yeah, Egg, 50% almost. F1 Union. I'll be honest with you, Union. I've watched a lot of BRL races. This is the first time I've seen you save a lot of battery. I'm impressed. 4th place here with a lot, 67%. Nico with a little bit less than that. JJ with 44. So JJ really the big loser when it comes to the batteries here that they've got. And now does Nico warrant an attack for 2nd place? Yellow flags, that's for the Aston further on back. But now, Nico looks for it, goes the inside, slingshots past to take 2nd place in this race. How about that for a move? JJ looking to charge back at it, but can't do it. And we see Egg pit anytime soon here on the mediums. These mediums can't go forever. They go 15 to 17 laps before they get toward a puncture range. And now he's done 16 laps in those mediums, one shy of probably a puncture. If he's able to save tires, Egg, and remain 5th, that's quite impressive. That, I'd say, is probably limiting the damage. And JJ back at it. JJ going for it, and a safety car comes out. That was for margin around. He crashed in the runoff, and JJ luckily got that move done in time. Safety car deployed. This absolutely changes the outcome of this race, no doubt about it. Oh my word. You can't script that anymore with the safety car coming out. I mean, Ridian said it. It would be a good time for one. And he's absolutely partying in chat. Snowy's in. Ben is in. Yonder in. Yonder was about to be lapped right there. So was Margin. Margin was the cause of it, though. No front wing. To be honest, just put no front wing on the 2024 Alpine, and that's about how fast you feel right there. Or 23 Alpine. Now the question is, on those hard tires, will we see any of these guys come in? The big winner from all this, though, surely has to be Egg. I know he'll lose a little bit in track position in comparison to Knights, probably, but that is not good. And I think someone got a penalty there under the safety car. JJ, Danny, Nico, all of them in. Union in too. Egg in, of course. And will Samuel Drake Lee choose to go the track position route and stay out? No, in. Now that gap before the safety car, 24 seconds. With the safety car being out, we shall see what this does. The pit stop loss under green flag conditions is 28 seconds. With the safety car buffer, it will surely change, but Knights doesn't want to stay out. He pits though, so no one will take the race lead here from that whole gap that they had. Very interesting indeed that that's the case, but DHL speeds, that will be costly. The guy who's 6th in the championship and could have been leading if it wasn't for his Baku incident. The only one who will make the difference here is Navs, who lagged out. I hope he can get back in the session here, because right now he'll be right in between these guys here for 3rd and 5th there. That will not be good. But like I said, the big winner, Egg. I know he had to serve the 5-second, and he'll be behind Samuel because of it, but he really is limiting the damage because he was in that battle with Knights, and if he pitted right there, he would have came out behind Knights. So really, Egg kind of won out in a way. Fair play to him. Samuel also massive help from the safety car. He was obviously going to lose a lot right there, but he ends up being 6th. Both Ferraris here in the top 10. Navs, I'm sure, has been an AI the whole race, so maybe they'll do something about that. Unless he gets back in the session, I don't know. Hopefully he can. Someone should tell him, hey, your car is still in here. You can get something out of it. think everybody just trying to pass the Ferrari here, which you're not really supposed to do under the safety car, even if he's lagged out. I know they'd want to get by him, but you really can't afford to take a 5-second for it. Safety car should stay out one extra lap here, and then we'll get a 2 to go shootout. Everybody either pitting again or just figuring it out here. I do expect Yonder to maybe pit here and go for softs, but if he's staying on the hards here on 17 lap hards, that's risking a puncture. You're going to go all the way to 20 laps at the end and be right on the edge of a puncture. Probably 75-80% on your tires. Not good. And DHL is back into the pit lane. I'm assuming this is to serve his 5-second penalty, I believe he got for speeding. Just a reminder, folks, we end off the weekend here in Silverstone tomorrow in Tier 2, and we'll continue the weekend in what will be next week's race at Spain. Navs overtaken again here under the safety car. I don't know how they've managed to do this, but no one wants to get caught out behind him under this restart. No one does. You can tell they're trying to pass him, and they do. Very, very silly, I must say. But if I were myself, why would I want to be stuck behind an AI? I kind of get it, but that's probably against the rules, I'm going to assume. Now, Knights is probably wondering, why do these guys get to overtake him, but I don't? Because that's where he's at in this position here. Safety car will be coming in. If you're Yonder or DHL, you're wanting to get caught back up to the pack. DHL will. Yonder is now going to be a question mark, and it's a 2 to go shootout here in Silverstone. Decide the finish. Give us your final predictions for the end of this race. How will things turn out here? Your race leader, Danny, has controlled it ever since he took the race lead. He had a second buffer and surprisingly was able to pull out of DRS with the battling going on. It's really the only thing that gets people pulled out of DRS here, and it happened to him where he was able to extend that gap, and now he'll have to fight it out here from the restart. Just waiting for the safety car to come in. It's in. We're waiting for him to get back on the gas and go up to full racing speed. We're back to green flag racing once again. It will be interesting here with JJ on the mediums compared to everyone else on the softs to tackle it out. We'll find out what happens here with 2 to go in Silverstone. Is anyone making a move? Navs is getting overtaken, of course. He's the ghosted car that we were talking about, but now Union is on the attack for 3rd place, trying to get the first medium runner and only medium runner on new mediums. Now Union couldn't get through, but can Nico get to the race lead in time here on Danny? And if he can get to the race lead, he will definitely be extending the championship lead. Yonder through on Navs, that's 13th, that's with fresh tires, and everything will change there with Twitey's penalty for sure at the at the bottom end of the points, but now Union is trying to get through for 3rd place in this race. He would likely want that, and he would definitely need that if he wants to warrant attack for the race lead, but the 2 leaders are close once again. It's Danny versus Nico, and Egg is in the penalty club! Egg was looking to gain spots after being screwed over there on that strategy going to the mediums after his own fortunes didn't go his way. And now it's surely not going to go his way. A penalty in the closing stages, that's surely going to drop him out of the points here if they continue to race it out the way they are. And Nico's closing, but is he close enough? Not at the chicane. Now about to enter the final lap. Danny leads over Nico. Look at where Danny and Nico started. Nico started 6th in this race. He's really gained and battled it out, and Knight's taking that fastest lap on those softs. Can he go for the lead, Nico? No. Danny started 2nd, Nico started 6th, so 2 different tails of this race, and now he's going to try to push her on the outside to make an attack. And keep in mind, on those medium tires, JJ's there for company too. 26 laps have come down to this, and they're going to both look for moves. Here's JJ around the outside, the long way. It's going to be mediums versus the two softs, and now Nico to try to hang on to the championship lead, nearly 3 wide. Danny hanging on, but how much longer will he hang on? They're side by side behind him, 3 wide to Cops. JJ on the inside line pushing through. Nico banging wheels, and he'll go through. Nico, the championship leader, from 3rd to 1st, and now side by side. And he spun around, big collision. They're both off, and Nico, the championship leader, is out of this race. And now Samuel, who was 6th, is onto the podium, and Union is there too. Oh my word, and Danny's out too. Big implications to end this race. But a late safety car on mediums. He's going to take advantage. JJ takes victory here in Silverstone. And a fight to the line. Samuel and Union side by side to end off the podium. Union got 2nd, and he remains with the point streak. And Samuel, who was all the way back in 6th there on the lap before the safety car came out, took advantage with the safety car to take another podium on the season, his 2nd. And Union gets Red Bull onto the podium. That's only Aston, the only team without a podium. What a crazy ending and a chaotic ending to this British Grand Prix. JJ took advantage and he won it. And that last lap collision there for 2nd place, we're going to talk about that one for a while. My word. Alfa Romeo become the 5th different team to win this season, and JJ becomes the 5th different driver to win this season. Very big from him. 12 points back in the championship from Nico to make that move and take advantage. 3 wide in a Cops. That was going to end in tears, and it did end in tears for those guys. Come Maggots and Beckett's. Here's your podium celebrations. Oh my word. What a Grand Prix. Nico, I thought, almost had it right there. Knights, Marcel, Egg, DHL, Ben, Yonder, Twitey round out the points. Aston Martin take their first double points finish of the season. Bravo to them. 4 stops from DHL. He had trouble in this race, and he was able to recover it for 7th place. Egg as well with that penalty. Hung on for 6th with the penalty applied. Knights kind of had trouble after that pole position there when he had to pit for more tires. 4th ends off his day. Yonder 9th. We talked about him a lot. Kind of gave him a lot of the show at the back of the grid, but he gets points for Aston Martin, and we look like we only lost 4 drivers from this race. 2 were classified with a DNF. The other 2 who we lost were classified though. But oh my word, the absolute chaos to end that race. I can't believe it. I want to see what the Twitch chat is saying right now after that. Nico says, well done, Dan. Brilliant. Absolute. We can't say that word on stream. Bleep. Well, Union's wondering how JJ won that. Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing because I was thinking those mediums there were not going to be it. And they were. They were actually helpful to JJ's case here in the final 2 laps. Those softs, I mean, they only last, what, 10 to 12 laps? But they're good for about 8 or less laps, though. So I thought, surely on that safety car restart, those softs are going to win out bigger compared to JJ. But JJ, I mean, besides all that contact there between the top 3, fair play and fair driving there to do that. Impressive. I mean, my driver of the day vote is going to be a tough one. I don't know who to give it to, but a lot of guys took advantage from that safety car. A lot of guys didn't. I mean, I don't know who to give it to. I mean, I'd like to hear your thoughts, chat, on who you guys would give it to. Well, a lot of drivers either happy with the way they ended the race or displeased. That's for sure. But Nico didn't look like he was happy with JJ making it 3 wide right there. But that was the move that won on the race. That was impressive. I would have to probably give him driver of the day, JJ. If I'm going to give it to anybody. I mean, Samuel's close as well. Union as well is close. A lot of guys really took advantage of that last safety car. And they do deserve credit, but I don't know. I mean, some guys really got royally screwed over there in the end too. So it's really tough to kind of put it in perspective for some of these guys as well as mentioned, but my word. All right, well, we'll find out what happens next week in Tier 1 in Spain. Will we give interviews? Should we? We should give interviews to the top 3. We should. We should. We will kick it off in Spain, though, next week, for those of you wondering where we're at. Let's go over the rest of the season calendar before we do give interviews to the top 3. Samuel. Let's get him in here. And I'll have to search up F1 Union. Keep in mind, folks, the rest of our calendar for the rest of the Tier 1 season, if you wanted to still tune into action here before we give any of the interviews, we've got Singapore and Belgium, a doubleheader after Spain, which is after the halfway point of the season. We've also got, as well, Austin, Texas, Qatar, and then ending off the season under the lights for Saudi and Abu Dhabi. Let's get the rest of our top 3 in here. Let's see if JJ will come in. Hopefully he will. He made a ballsy dive there, and yep, he is in here. We're going to interview our top 3. How about we go backwards of our top 3? Make sure you guys include your audio. I think it was Samuel, you finished 3rd, maybe?
Yeah.
Right? Am I right about that? 3rd? Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll give a go at you first. You had stayed out for quite a while, and I believe you're on mediums, if I'm correct, and you ended up risking it, I guess, in hopes for a safety car. Your other guys in front of you who were wanting a safety car ended up pitting there for soft tires or medium tires in front of you, and you were probably delighted with that safety car because you took advantage and you're on the podium.
Yeah, I pitted onto mediums and then I pitted onto hards at the end of the first safety car. So I was on hards, but I was just nowhere near anyone. I was in my own race, essentially. Had the train of like the 6 at the front, and then like 7-second gap behind me. But then when I saw the last safety car, obviously I was quite happy. It gave me a chance to fight for the podium, and I executed it.
Well, it's your 2nd podium of the season. Mm-hmm. And of course, Ferrari went up big in the points. I mean, for the combined constructors, you guys only have 44 points. So how happy are you to get the points for the team that matter, and also the 2nd podium of the season for yourself as well? And talk me through those battles as well. You came across the line with Union wheel to wheel there at the end.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate because I thought there was another lap, so I still had some battery left over that I was going to deploy the next lap, but I realised as we were going through the last few corners that it was the last lap, so I had to try and burn everything, but it wasn't quite enough. Jaden did quite well to defend, and yeah, it was a good battle. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the points for the team. I mean, like you said, Ferrari ain't doing that well this season. And yeah, my 2nd podium, got the win out in Imola, and then the podium here in Britain is it's good to get a full British podium at home race.
Yeah, fair play with that. Spain next week, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah.
That's my last question for you.
I do like Spain. It's one of my better tracks, so look forward to that.
Well, good luck there. Congrats on the podium, with that said. So our 2nd place finisher, Union, make sure you include your audio as well. You know, I've seen your page, Instagram, quite a while, and then I think, this guy races BRL. I'm going to get the chance to commentate over him in Silverstone. And now, you end up continuing your point streak with a 2nd place finish, and in fact, get Red Bull onto the podium for the first time this Tier 1 season. It was previously a 6th place finish, their best, and now the 9th different team on podium. How happy are you to continue getting Red Bull up the order in the points for this race with how it went, and getting them on the podium as the 9th different team this Tier 1 season. Surely that's got to feel good. And, of course, the first time this season for yourself.
Yeah, it feels good. Thanks for checking my page. What's the team that hasn't got a podium this season?
Aston.
Well, it's going to take a lot. But yeah, the start to the season wasn't the greatest. 4 points finishes and none of them in the top 5. Hasn't been great, but yeah, I enjoyed today. Not the greatest quali. My brake was stuck at 10% when I started my last lap, so I was 3/10 down into turn 1, so I had to make up the time. Starting 9th, making my way through, just avoiding any incidents. I hung back a bit. Felt it was the safest option. There was a lot of battling going on, and then yeah, that unfortunate thing on the last lap between Dan and Nick, I didn't really get to see. I only saw Dan go off. I didn't realise Nick had. And then I don't know if the mediums work better in 2 laps for JJ, but props to him for winning. And yeah, I'm happy with second, just about with holding on to Sam. When I saw him up the inside, I did want to give the room so I wouldn't get spun or anything, but just about hung on. And yeah, happy with I think the season starts now for me, really.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy how it was very, very tight with you and Samuel across the line. 38 thousandths, I believe, separated you guys, and of course right in front of you too. You were going for an attack on JJ there, and it looked like you had a chance to get it, but JJ was able to pull away in the mediums. Talk me through all the battles you had today, because you were right at the front of the field and kind of right in front of all the action at a lot of the points. There was battles in front of you, there was overtaking to be done in front of you, and you've done some yourself or got overtaken yourself throughout that 8-car train at one point for the race lead. I mean, that was surely crazy.
Yeah, the start, at one point it was like 4 wide into turn 4, and I don't think I could do anything to avoid whatever happened. And then yeah, I made my way up, a few overtakes here and there, hung onto the back of the train. A few others pitted because they pit for mediums and couldn't take them to the end. And then yeah, I don't think I actually got overtaken when I was in that train. But yeah, I was happy to make my way up almost to the top. But yeah, home Grand Prix, happy with P2.
Congrats on that. Spain next week. You said your season starts here, it seems. How do you feel about Spain for next week's race, right before the halfway point? And how did you feel about the full qualifying format today, with that being said? I know you mentioned you were 3/10 down, of course, due to 10% break, but the whole field seemed close with full qualifying.
Oh yeah, it was very close. I know end of Q2, being only a 10th off, I thought I have a chance, maybe top 3, 2 maybe. But I think 3/10 would have only put me 5th, so it's a very competitive field, probably the most competitive field. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for the challenge, and it's a lot of fun.
Congratulations on the podium. Pleasure to commentate. Now our race winner, JJ. Make sure you include your audio. You were also in the thick of things at the front of the field, obviously with Egg getting the penalty that he had 5 seconds first, and then serving that another 3 seconds, and Vapor crashing out. You surely, and DHL also had trouble too. You surely, being 5th in the championship, 12 points back from Nico, knew in that later stage of the race on that safety car restart, you had to take advantage. What was the thought process going 3 wide there at Cops, which ended up propelling you in front, and then they crashed behind you, and also the thought process going to mediums, because I did not think that was going to work out at all at first.
So yeah, obviously, thought process going 3 wide. I got a good run, I don't know what straight it is, towards Brooklands. I got a good run on both of the people in front. I thought I'd stick it around the outside because I knew it would be tight on the inside between both of them, and I got round quite well and then got a decent exit as well. And then it was kind of me and Dan side by side in towards Cops. Nick was a bit further back. So it was kind of 3 wide, but kind of not. It's more me and Dan side by side, and then me and Dan make contact a bit. There wasn't really much I could do. I just literally held my line on the inside going into there, and yeah, obviously I don't really know what happened between them two, but it's unfortunate, obviously. And yeah, the thought process behind the mediums, I had no fresh softs left at all. I used them all in quali because I picked the harder tyre allocation, so I was like, well, fresh mediums will be better than used softs. Which I think it turned out they were. Obviously Nick had some fresh softs, so they were better, I think, overall, so I was fighting a bit of a losing battle there, but luckily I put my car in the right place and got the win in the end, so yeah, very happy with that.
I mean, when Union made that attack there at turn 4, you surely had to been definitely feeling the pressure at that point with him going down your inside there on the you on the mediums, him on the softs, because obviously, mentioning not having fresh softs, I mean, that makes sense why, but with him being on the fresher, better tires, obviously you were on the same length of tires, but not tires that would get you faster. You surely knew at the battles that happened that race that you might not have a chance for the win. So what kind of went through your mind when you were able to clear Union there and make sure that he was not able to make another attack down your inside and go for the race win?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first port of call, really. I knew he'd be on not fresher, but better rubber, soft compared to mediums. It's always going to be quicker, grippier, so I knew I had to defend from him. I thought I defended quite well, actually. Made sure I didn't lose much time to the front two, whilst also obviously not losing the position to Union behind. And that was sort of the main objective first, just to stay in front of him. And then obviously I knew the front two would end up coming to, Dan had a lot worse tyres than Nick. So I knew they would end up coming together, so I just had to stay in the vicinity really, and make sure I was in, fighting distance, and end up being the case. And yeah, so that was the thought process behind that.
The battles were crazy all day. You were a part of some as well. Full qualifying showed how close the field was, and you were obviously close with the other championship protagonist, Nico. Vapor was up there for a little bit, but obviously he was involved in an accident. Egg, DHL as well, also up there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably going to take over the championship lead, I assume, with Nico not finishing. I mean, what do you feel at this point onwards with the season with, 7 rounds remaining at this point? Is the season on for you, and what does this win do for you?
This win's obviously massive with the results around me. I think it's my first win of the season, obviously, since winning championship last season, so it's good to get a win on the board. Obviously, I DNF'd the first race, which was the worst possible start. So now to be leading the championship again after that, it's obviously very good going forward. And yeah, I think I can get back to back. I don't see why not. I think I've got the pace to win again. So yeah, that's the objective, back-to-back championships.
Yeah, you're the 5th different winner this season, and with the 5th different team. Last question for you, like I asked the others. Spain, you mentioned obviously the championship now, which is definitely full guns blazing for you. What do you expect into Spain, of course, and do you feel they should put full qualifying in there with how it was today?
Yeah, see if there's the amount of people. I don't see why not. It's always tight and interesting and full quality. Spain, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's one of my stronger tracks. However, obviously I did win there last season in BRL. I felt pretty quick there last season, but overall it's definitely not in my top tracks. I think it'll be very close again. It's always a track that's got very close gaps in qualifying and a bit of a DRS train in the race. So I think it's going to be pretty similar to how it was today, to be honest. Just whoever can be there at the end, really. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely going to be a little bit tougher to overtake, but you know what? Might make the overtakes a little bit more better in terms of how it gets done, and the ballsy moves still won't be anything that goes away. Either way, folks, Tier 2 tomorrow in Britain to end off the weekend, and Tier 1 will be in Spain for next week. Well, all tiers will be in Spain, of course, as always. But that's where we'll be next week if you want to tune into the action then. If you want to tune the action tomorrow, we're in Britain, like we said, for Tier 2. But your commentator for tonight, Ryan Searles, signing off. These were our podium interviews with our top 3 and your podium sitters. Silverstone for Tier 1 in the books, and we'll see what happens next time, folks. Signing off, and have a good one. We'll see you for the next one.
Cheers.